Hey, what's up everybody? This is Pat from Salt Strong, and in this video I'm going to show you some retrieves that you can use to catch some redfish, snook, trout, flounder with our new Flea Flicker lure. Now this is our new Twitchbait style lure. You might not know how to use it, and that's what I want to do in this video. Is I want to give you some real easy ways on how to catch some fish with this lure. So let's get right into it. Okay, so this first retrieve, I'm going to go ahead and throw this on out there, and then I'm going to let it settle a little bit, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up that slack line and I'm going to give it a couple of twitches, and then I'm just going to let it sit, pick up that slack line, give it a couple of twitches, let it sit, and then give it a couple more twitches. I'm reeling in that slack in between these twitches, and then let it rest. And I'm going to work it this way all the way back to the boat. Now I will change up the amount of twitches that I'll do in between the rest. Sometimes, 2 twitches, sometimes 3 twitches, sometimes 4. It really depends on the mood of the fish, and I'm going to change that up until I start getting bites, and they'll let me know. Same thing with the pauses. You might want just a 1 or 2 second pause. You might want a 5, 6, 7 second pause. Really depends on what those fish want that day. So make sure and change that up. But this is a basic retrieve. Now, one thing I want to show you when it comes to where the lure is going to be in the water column, you can run it a little bit deeper, a little bit shallower. That's going to be where your rod tip is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this. And I'm sitting here in a kayak, so if I put my rod tip lower in the water, and this could be if you're wading, if you're in a boat, if you want your lure lower in the water column, then what you want to do is you want to have your rod tip down towards that water. So you keep that rod tip down, and that lure is going to be down, down in that water column. Now, if you want to have your lure higher up in the water column, say those fish are feeding up higher in the water column, then what we need to do is point our rod tip up. Now, if you do this, just be sure and put longer pauses in those pauses that you're doing, because as you twitch that lure up, if you don't let it sink down, then you're just going to pull that lure right out of the water. So make sure your pauses are a little bit longer whenever you have your rod tip up there, but you can keep that lure higher up in the water column. So if you want to higher up, keep your rod tip up like this. If you want it down, the lure deeper in the water, then keep it down closer to that water, and that'll change where in the water column that lure is going to be at. Now, here's a super simple way of using this lure that anybody can do, whether you're a beginner or you're a pro angler. This is a real simple and effective type of retrieve, and all you're going to do is throw your lure out there. You're going to let it sink a little bit, let it go down a little bit, and then all you're going to do is just give it a straight retrieve. This lure actually has a nice little, it goes side to side underneath the water. You don't want to reel it in too fast, just a moderate speed, and this lure just kind of goes right back and forth like this, and it kind of calls those fish out. So this is another thing that you can do when you're going from spot to spot, is troll this behind your boat or your kayak, and you'll be surprised at how often you can pick up fish, and this can save your days a lot of times. So again, let me go ahead and show you that real quick. I can go ahead and cast that out there. I'm going to let it sink, make sure it's down there in that water column a little bit, and then all I'm going to do is just a straight retrieve, just like this. Kind of a moderately slow retrieve, and that way I'm going to keep that lure down there in that water column, and it's going to find the fish for me. It's doing all the work. I don't have to do anything to it. This is a really cool and really effective retrieve, especially if you're new to fishing artificial lures. So this next retrieve is kind of akin to that last retrieve that we were showing you with the straight reel, but this one is going to have current. You need current for this one to work, and this works really good in your tidal areas. So I'm talking to you out in the Carolinas, whenever you get those tidal creeks in Georgia where they'll flow in and out and you get those strong flows, anytime that you get a lot of current, this can work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this lure out. I can't demonstrate it exactly here because of the fact that I'm on a flat and there's no current here, there's just wind current. But what you can do is throw it out into, let's say a creek bend, right around a creek bend, and then that current is going to bring that lure back to you. And all I want you to do is just pick up the slack. Just make sure that you're keeping the slack out of that line, so when you feel that fish bite, you'll be able to set the hook. But it'll just sit there and suspend in that water column, and this is really effective if those fish are feeding up higher in that water column. They'll just see that lure go right across their head and they'll come up and smash it. Super effective when it comes to catching trout in those cooler months in these tidal creeks. So all you got to do is just cast it out there, let that current bring that lure around, say a creek bend, around an oyster bed, something like that, and all you're doing is just keeping up with that lure. Just keep that slack out of the line. You're going to feel that thump, set the hook, and you could just repeat it. Once you find one, a lot of times in the wintertime or in these cooler times of the month, you're going to find multiple fish. So keep doing the same thing, and then just go up to the next creek bend and just repeat that action. And it's something that the lure is doing all the work. All you have to do is reel the fish in. So this is the lure here. It is called the Flea Flicker. We have these available at fishstrong.com. This happens to be the chrome with the black back. We have them in several other colors, so make sure and check it out. And remember, members get huge discounts off a tackle at fishstrong.com. So hopefully this helps you out. If you've got any questions or comments, go ahead and put those down below. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. And if there is a different way that you use these twitch baits, I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and put those down in the comments below too. As always, really do appreciate you watching. I hope to see you again soon. Have a great one. Now go get them. Bye.